For the reverse lunge with rotation, start with your feet fairly close together, standing straight and tall. Begin by striding back into a reverse lunge where only the ball of the back foot makes contact with the ground as you drop the back knee towards the ground. Maintain a nice upright torso and rotate your torso over the forward thigh. Couple of coaching cues for this one. We want to make sure that the back heel is off the ground. You're getting a nice stretch in the back quad and hip flexor. And most importantly, as you rotate the upper body, the knee, foot, and hip of the front leg should all stay in a nice straight line. The last thing you'd want is the knee to bow out to the side, or worse yet, pinch in towards the middle of your body as you execute the rotation. We're trying to separate the upper and lower parts of the body on this drill. It's a great stretch for the front of the hip on the back leg. Next up, we've got the seated wall slide drill. This is an excellent way to help improve shoulder mobility while building some strength in the muscles of the upper back. Begin by sitting with your torso flush up against the wall, making sure your tailbone, upper back, and head are touching the wall. Get as much of your lower back on the wall as possible as well, and keep the rib cage down as you slide the back of the elbow, forearm, and hand up and down the wall. Here you're shooting for about 10 to 12 repetitions. For the counterbalance squat, you're going to use a medicine ball, a light dumbbell, a kettlebell, or just anything you can find with a little weight to it to help you sit back into a deeper squat. And it's meant to help compensate for some limitations in ankle mobility. With these, you're going to start with your feet about shoulders width apart and think about spreading the floor as you push the hips back and maintain a nice erect torso as you extend the arms out to counterbalance the squatting movement. Remember to think about ripping that floor open and really sitting back into the hips to get the glutes and the hamstrings firing. For the high plank with internal rotation, once again, begin in a push-up position with your hands set a little bit closer together than your feet, which will be spread apart slightly wider than shoulders width. Here, maintaining a good core neutral position, meaning no rounding in the upper back and no excessive arching in the lower back, you're going to take turns placing one hand behind your lower back with the back of your palm flat against the lower back, going into internal rotation of the shoulder. Be careful not to waggle the hips side to side. The unilateral hip bridge is, as most of the other drills on this video, a progression off of something you've already been doing, which was the bilateral or two-legged bridge. These are a lot more challenging. To begin, you're going to bring one leg up, bent at 90 degrees, and position it right over the hip of the same side. Next, you're going to drive through the heel of the opposite leg, attempting to lift your hips up off the ground. This will work the glutes and the hamstrings as well as the core, so keep the core braced tight. The most important aspect of this drill is not to sacrifice height by letting that top leg get away from you and go out away from your face. If you start doing that, you're going to bring the lower back into the movement as I'm showing here. We don't want to extend the lower back as we lift the hips, so make sure to keep that nice straight line of that top leg. The step outside lunge and reach is once again a progression off of the previous set of drills that I've assigned to you. Now here, instead of having the feet spread wide apart and simply shifting from side to side, you're actually stepping out. So now you're going to have to control your body's momentum, and these are going to help you with your lateral deceleration. So when we're working through shuffles and that sort of thing and getting into a good decel position. So here you're stepping out, pushing the hips back, and reaching for the ankle with the inside hand. As I'll show you from a profile in just a second, it's important that you really push those hips back and avoid rounding the back. So you can see how flat my back is here as I stride through. Lift that knee nice and high, sit into that hip, and then basically just turns kind of into a lateral squat where you push those hips back. You're going to get a big stretch in the groin of the leg that you're going away from, and you're going to be working some strength through the glutes, hamstrings, and quads of the side that you're going to. For the modified side plank, begin with the forearm and arm of the down side directly stacked underneath your shoulder. Keeping the downside knee on the ground, begin by getting up into a side plank position. If you need a little bit more challenge, you can actually lift that lower leg off the ground so that you're just balancing on the outside of the feet and that underneath arm. Hold for 15 to 30 seconds at a time. For the half kneeling arm swing, begin in a half kneeling position and then lean the torso forward so the nose is over the toes, replicating a good acceleration angle. From here, you're going to drive the arms back in cycles of 3, freezing each time you hit the number 3. And the landmarks being you want your hands to line up with your eye socket and your hip pocket. Remember that the primary drive for this arm swing comes from driving the elbow back, not bringing the arm forward. And you want to make sure to limit your arm swing across the front of your body. Get some nice core work here by making sure the arms stay in line with the shoulders. For wall acceleration, stand with your feet a few feet away from a wall and then lean in so your body forms a nice diagonal line. Here, the objective is to punch the back leg down into the ground, making sure to fully extend the back leg as the front knee drives up with the toes pointed up towards the shin. Freeze at the top of each rep and maintain a nice tight core.